What's up, everybody? It's Kenny here, and today we're going to be talking about getting your first credit card. So, if you're getting your first credit card, or if you've never had a credit card, it can be pretty intimidating because you may not know if one you qualify for it, if you're going to get denied, if you even know how to use the thing. You may not even know where to go to get a credit card, right? And so I think this is a very important step in your financial journey. And the reason why I believe it's so important in your financial journey is because a credit card can be a really good tool, or I should say a budgeting tool. And a lot of people misunderstand or misuse credit cards because they don't understand what its purpose is. And at the end of the day, a credit card, all it is a budgeting tool. So you getting a credit card is not going to change your life. I really don't believe you getting a credit card is going to change your life at all. A lot of people, I work with a lot of clients here in Canada, and a lot of them assume that them getting an Amex is going to change their life, that they're going to just start all of a sudden live a totally different life. But the reality of that is that that's not how that works. You start living a different life because you place yourself in a different financial situation. So you getting a credit card isn't going to change your financial situation, but it is a tool that allows you to organize your finances a lot better, right? So if you're starting that process of getting your first credit card, there's going to be a few things that you want to do first. First, you need to make sure that you have access to your credit report. Now, if this is your first credit card, there's a very high chance that you don't even have a credit score or your credit profile hasn't even been created yet, right? And that's okay. Now, you may have, and what I experience a lot of times is that people have credit profiles and they don't even know, or they're not aware. And what happens a lot of times is, if let's say you get a contract with Bill, or you get a phone plan, and that's going to report on your credit report, right? So a lot of people, they have a phone that they're paying for, they don't have a credit card, and all this time they've been building their credit and they weren't even aware, right? So that's why the first step is not for you to go out and start shopping for credit cards before you get access to your credit report. So there's two credit bureaus here in Canada. I say this in almost every video. We have Equifax and then we have TransUnion. There's two free apps that we can use because when we're first starting out, we're not trying to spend a bunch of money. So we have Borrowwell, which is going to give you access to your Equifax score, and then we have Credit Karma, which is going to give you access to your TransUnion score. It's extremely important that you get access to both of these apps, and we just want to make sure that our credit score isn't anything drastic. Now, if you log into Credit Karma, because Credit Karma is very famous for this, if you don't have a credit card, Credit Karma Credit Karma may not give you a credit score, which that's fine. You not having a credit score is not a bad thing. It just means that your profile is too young or new for them to even give you a score. Now, with Equifax or Borrowwell, on the other hand, they may still give you a credit score if you just have like a phone plan on your credit report. What we want to make sure are a few things. So first is that we don't have any negative accounts on our credit report. So there's a few sections that you're going to need to check first. First is the collection section, and that's going to be on both platforms. So Borrowwell and Credit Karma. We're going to check the collection section and make sure that there's no collection accounts. Second, we're going to check the public record section. Okay, so if you've ever been sued and it did not go into your favor, then a judgment can report in the public record section of your credit report. Unfortunately, that would have an impact on your credit score, negatively impacting you. Okay, and then lastly, you would check the closed section of your credit report. That would house any closed accounts that you have. Now with this, there's nothing wrong with having a closed accounts, but if there's any negative derogatory remarks tied to those closed accounts, then that's going to be something that you're going to want to address first, okay? Now, if you do, so I'm going to talk about both scenarios. If you do have negative accounts, then you're going to want to take the secured credit card route, okay? Now, just to go into a brief explanation about what a secured credit card is, it's going to report the same way to your credit report. It's still a credit card, but in order for you to get access to this, you're going to need to place a deposit, okay? So you're going to need to place a deposit of anywhere between, let's say, $300 to $500, depending on who you go with. The secured credit card that I always recommend is Capital One. Capital One has a secured MasterCard. And the reason why I go with them, or I always recommend them, is because one, they're going to give you your deposit back once you graduate from the card. And then two, once you graduate from the card, they're going to graduate you to their unsecured option. Okay, and then they may even give you a little bit extra credit on top of what you already invested into Capital One, right? So Capital One can be an extremely great tool for you to use to start your credit journey. Okay, and I recommend Capital One or any other secure credit card provider if you do not have great credit in the beginning. Okay, so Capital One, Neo. If you live outside of Quebec, there's Home Trust, but there's so many other options available to you to help you start your credit building journey or just to get your first credit card. Okay, now, the other side of the equation is if you have a great credit profile or you have no credit profile. Again, you not having a credit profile or you not having a credit score yet is not a bad thing. It just means that you're on a clean slate. Okay. In this situation, I would recommend you go to your primary bank. Now, your primary bank is the bank where you receive your paychecks. Okay, so wherever that deposit goes into, that's going to be your primary bank. And the reason why we want to choose this bank is because that bank sees that you have income coming in every 2 weeks, monthly, however, whatever the cadence is for you to get paid. So they see that there's money coming in. Not only that, because a lot of times on the application they'll ask you what your income is, but they'll also be able to verify that information from your checking account, okay, or wherever the funds are deposited. Alongside this, you have a track history with this bank, right? Now, with most bank accounts, there's going to be fees associated with it. And so if you've been doing really well with that bank, you keep funds in the account, you've had the account for over, let's say, 5 years, you've had it for a while, there's money sitting in the account. This is very favorable in your odds, right? So and the banks really view you as a great partner or someone to go into business with. So anytime a bank gives you a credit card, understand that that's them going into business with you and you going into business with that bank. It's a partnership at that point, right? Because they're trusting you with those funds, and then you're going to them for the funds, right? So you will go to your primary bank. For me, it was CIBC when I started my journey outside of Capital One. So I started out with a secure credit card. I worked my way up and then I graduated from the secured option to the unsecured option. And then I bounced over to CIBC because I had a great relationship with CIBC. So for you, it may be BMO, it could be TD. I do have preferences myself over banks, but you could be with any bank. If you have a great relationship, go with them. Now, when you're starting out with this card with the bank, you want to make sure that there's no annual fee associated with it. Okay, we don't want to make this more complicated than what it needs to be because different card providers have different rules when it comes around their annual fees. They can always change the pricing on it. Sometimes they won't charge you for the annual fee for that first year, so they'll prorate it until the following year. Some of them they don't care; they're gonna they're gonna hit the account right away, and they expect for you to make that payment right away. All right, so that pretty much funds all the rewards that are associated with those credit cards or any perks that comes with those credit cards. It's basically you're paying for it, or the merchants where you swipe the card are paying for those rewards. Right now, I don't recommend you start with a card that has an annual fee. I think that would not be the wisest thing to do, especially if this is your first credit card, because there's so much that you need to learn. All right, you could do because the thing about credit cards, you could do so much research on the internet about how to use it, how to make payments, all these things, right? But you don't really fully understand until you get the credit card yourself, and it's time for you to make that payment yourself, right? Um, One person, even myself, I can only explain so much to you, but there's a certain amount of things that you need to experience on the individual level for you to be able to truly master and manage that credit card. A lot of people that lack the knowledge of how to use credit cards, they would kind of tell you to stay away or stray away from credit cards. But I'm not going to push you in that direction. Hopefully, anybody that's watching this video, you're taking the time to educate yourself on how to master the use of credit cards and put yourself or use the tool to help you build wealth. Um, I give credit to credit card. I think credit cards for myself, they played a huge role in helping me build my business. It was something I was able to really lean on to help me build my business because it was a budgeting tool, right? So at the base level, the first budgeting tool is a budget, so you should always have a budget. And then on top of that budget, what helps uh, supplement that budget is the credit card, right, or your credit cards. So for your first credit card, I really recommend you go zero annual fee cashback. cashback is the best. If you're a flight person, go ahead. Me personally, I don't agree with it. I think cashback is the best first credit card to get, and the reason why is because you can access it so quickly, and if you spend and you budget properly, you're getting paid essentially to um, spend money on what you would spend anyway, right? So if I'm looking at my budget, let's just say for the month I'm going to spend $400 on groceries, right? If I have a card that's going to give me 5% cash back, then I'm going to make 5% on that $400 every single month, right? So that's something that if I just pay with cash, I wouldn't get that money. Now, if you assume or consume content like Dave Ramsey, he'll kind of say, hey, it's not worth it because of credit cards. Studies show that you spend more money by using a credit card. But I feel like that's missing so much information. And the information that is missing is that majority of people that are using a credit card, they don't have a budget, right? But if you have a budget in place and that credit card that you're using is tied to that budget, this is when credit cards become or your finances become very powerful because now you're only spending what you would normally spend and you're getting paid to spend that money. So that's why I think the first card you should get is a cashback credit card. And then once we get this card, we want to make sure that we're making on-time payments. We're not missing any payments. I would, if you're unsure of how to go about making payments, if it's because the first thing is if it's with your primary bank, you want to make sure that the credit card is connected to your checking account. So when you log into your mobile banking app, you should see your checking. Let's say you have a savings, and you should also see the credit card within that mobile banking app. Because what you can do is that you could transfer those funds from your checking account over into the credit card, and then that's going to count right away. It takes a few days for it to show that the payment had actually went through to the credit card, but the bank is going to see it the same day that you make that payment, and they're going to count that as the day that you make the payment. So that's a great way for you to make on-time payments on the due date, which leads me into my next topic is when we make payments to our credit card, the best time to do it is on the due date, and we want to make sure we pay that credit card off in full, right? So anytime I'm going in, I'm working on my personal credit cards, I'm paying it off in full, I'm paying it down to zero on the due date, and I do that by transferring the money from my checking account directly into the credit card. And again, that's going to be connected. When it's not connected to your, and the reason why I'm telling you all of this is because when it's not connected to your checking account or to your bank account, and you have to transfer, let's say I'm paying off a CIBC, no, I'm sorry, not CIBC. Let's say I'm paying off a Capital One credit card, and I don't have a checking account connected to it. If I'm paying that money from my CIBC account to Capital One, it's going to take at least 2 business days for that money to transfer over. So I need to try to send that money at least 2 business days prior to when that money needs to be sent over, right? So if I'm sending from one bank to another, then it makes it a little bit more complicated. So that's why in the beginning, it's always easier for you to go with your primary bank, whoever you have your funds with, to start your credit card journey with them. Okay. So if you have bad credit, just a quick recap. If you have bad credit, then I recommend you go ahead and you get the Capital One or a secure credit card while you're in the process of rebuilding. And then if you don't have bad credit or if you don't have any credit at all and you have good credit, then go with your primary bank. Get a $0 annual fee cashback credit card. You will thank me later. That's going to help you out so much. And then that's the route I would take to start out with my first credit card. Now, I also while it sounds great now, I also want to go over some of the things that you should think about before you go and start this journey. If you have debt, okay, so debt could be anything outside of this credit card that you're going to accumulate, so or that you're going to get. That can be even an auto loan. It could be student loans, whatever it may be. If you have debt and you kind of feel like you're struggling to service that debt, this is not the time for you to get a credit card. The time to get a credit card is when you have a budget in place, your finances are under control, you're able to save money regularly, you're able to even let's say even invest, you're able to save and invest at the same time. You have an emergency savings fund set aside. It is time. So you have a budget in place, You have at least 6 months worth of expenses put off to the side for an emergency, right? And then everything else that you have coming in, you're able to invest. So you are already ahead of the game. Now you can go ahead and get that credit card, because what that credit card is going to do is going to boost that speed. It's going to boost the elevation of your budget, right? So again, a credit card is simply just a tool to aid your budget. Okay. So those things need to be in place first. But if you do not have a budget, don't get a credit card, because that's the problem. That's how people get into debt. They get a credit card, they swipe, 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 and say, I'm gonna pay later, and then later never comes. That's the problem with most people, right? So that's what I recommend. If you get a credit card, those are your two options. But your first credit card is going to be high favorable odds of approval. I'm giving you an extremely high chance of getting approved because A, even if you have bad credit, I'm pushing you to a secure credit card. B, if you have no credit or good credit, I'm pushing you to the bank that you've been with for at least 5 years and that your check's going to. So you have high odds. Now you may be asking, what's good credit? Okay. If you have no credit, so when you log in, you don't see a credit score, and again, we're checking with both credit bureaus, they will pretty much say you don't have a credit score. That's not bad credit. It just means you have a clean slate and it's time for you to start your journey. Now, if you do have a credit score, let's make sure we're above a 700. Okay. Let's not play these games where we add on an unnecessary inquiry, and we're not able to get approved for credit. Let's not play those games. Let's be above a 700 plus. Let's not waste your time. Let's not waste your money, your resources. Let's get above a 700, okay? And then let's go to our bank of choice. And again, I highly recommend you establish that relationship with your primary bank. Now, if you have any questions about building your credit, you can email us info@kennyjohnsonuniversity.com. If you're one of those people that have collections and you kind of don't know what to do, my company helps you dispute and remove that information off of your credit report. You can also email us info@kennyjohnsonuniversity.com. Reach out to us, explain what's going on. I would love to hear so that we can help. We'll book a free consultation call, go through your credit report with you, discuss what we can do to help you dispute and hopefully remove that information off of your credit report. And until next time, take care, peace.